Burt Lancaster gives out a list of all the men and women who have slept with him. Boris Stephen Lancaster was born in New York City on November 2, 1913. He was known as Burt Lancaster. His family was poor, and he grew up in East Harlem during the Great Depression. He learned to be disciplined and work hard from his parents, Elizabeth and James Lancaster. These traits would shape his career. Burt's family had a hard time with money, but he loved being active, especially gymnastics and acrobatics, which would later shape his early career. He went to DeWitt Clinton High School and was so good at sports that he got a scholarship to go to New York University. But because he was naturally restless and daring, he quit college and became an acrobat in the circus, where he was part of the famous K Brothers Trapeze Act. This early experience not only improved his already impressive skills, but it also helped him become more confident on stage and less afraid, all of which would serve him well in the movies. Lancaster's acting career was cut short when he joined the U.S. Army during World War II. He did great work in the Special Services section, putting on shows for the troops to cheer them up and keep them entertained. His time in the war helped him understand people and suffering better, giving him a quiet strength and empathy that would later show in his acting. When he got back home, he met a theatrical producer by chance who took him to the stage, where his natural ability and charisma caught the attention of Hollywood scouts. Before long, Burt Lancaster made his movie debut in the famous noir film The Killers, 1946, with Ava Gardner. His show was energizing, dark, intense, and full of complicated emotions. Soon, he was a star and was praised as one of the best new players in Hollywood after World War II. 2. Lancaster's early parts often drew attention to how tough he was and how serious he was, but he wasn't happy being typecast. In the 1950s and 1960s, he showed off his huge range by taking on parts that were both morally complex and psychologically nuanced. As Sergeant Milton Warden in 1953's From Here to Eternity, he gave one of his best performances, falling in love with Deborah Kerr in one of the most famous beach scenes in movie history. The movie got 8 Academy Awards and made Lancaster even more famous as a great actor. Still, he was just as at ease in darker, more difficult parts. Like the cruel gossip columnist J.J. Hunseer he played in Sweet Smell of Success, 1957, a performance that still stands as a model of how to balance cynicism and danger. Lancaster was different from many of his peers because he could switch between being heroic and having mixed morals. This earned him respect from critics and admiration from people in the business. Burt Lancaster was a pioneer not only as an actor, but also as a director. In 1948, he helped start Heckle Lancaster, a production business that was one of the first in Hollywood to be run by actors. This gave him the freedom to be creative with his projects and support movies that had political or social messages. Under this name, he made groundbreaking movies like Marty, 1955, which won the Academy Award for Best Picture, and showed how important regular people are. His desire to write stories with real people at the center showed how strongly he felt about things and how interested he was in learning more. Lancaster was never afraid to work on projects that were different from the norm in Hollywood or to deal with difficult topics. By doing this, he made it possible for artists to take charge of their careers in the future. During the 1960s and 1970s, Lancaster's work continued to change. He went from playing romantic and heroic leads to playing complex, worn-out characters that showed how mature his craft had become. He won the Academy Award for Best Actor for his part as a charismatic but morally troubled preacher in Elmer Gantry in 1960. This performance showed off his wide range of emotions and willingness to take on challenging roles. Later, in movies like Birdman of Alcatraz, 1962, and Atlantic City, 1980, Lancaster showed a deep sensitivity and depth that only got stronger with age. His performance in Atlantic City with Susan Sarandon won him more praise and a nomination for an Academy Award. This showed that even in his later years, he was still one of the most powerful actors in movies. Burt Lancaster was known off-screen as a very smart and socially aware man. He spoke out about politics and fought for civil rights, against the Vietnam War, and liberal issues long before it was cool in Hollywood to do so. His co-workers often said that he was fierce, had strong morals, and had a strong sense of justice and humanity. Even though he seemed strong, he was actually friendly, funny, and kind. He was married 3 times and had 5 kids. Even though his job was busy, he kept a strong connection to his family. People who knew him well often talked about how honest he was and how compassionate he was, even though he seemed scary on screen. Burt Lancaster's personal life was often overshadowed by his successful Hollywood work. However, he had a number of important relationships that showed how his personality changed and how he lived through different stages of his life. His marriages show a lot about the man behind the charismatic screen persona, someone who is driven by passion, ambition, and a steady search for meaning and companionship in the crazy world of fame. His first wife was June Ernst, whom he married in 1935, a long time before he became famous. Lancaster was still trying to figure out where he fit in the world at the time. He was working a bunch of different jobs during the Great Depression and was an acrobat in a show. June and Burt's marriage showed the purity and youthful hope of 2 people who wanted to build a future together, but didn't have much money. They both went through hard times in their lives before they became famous, and June was there for him when he was just a dreamer named Burt Lancaster and not yet a Hollywood star. But the stresses of his growing ambition and the needs of an entertainment business that was starting to take shape started to hurt their relationship. As Lancaster's life became more about playing and shows, they began to go in different directions. They got a divorce in 1946 after being married for more than 10 years. This was the end of his first major personal chapter. Lancaster met Norma Anderson soon after his first marriage ended. She would go on to be his second wife and the mother of his 5 children. In 1946, the same year he got married, his career took off quickly after his big break in The Killers. Norma was very important to Lancaster during this important time in his life. She gave him security and support as his fame grew in Hollywood. The couple was married for more than 20 years, and during that time they experienced both the highs and lows of working in the movie business. Many people saw Norma as the good thing in Burt's life, someone who made the crazy world of fame seem more normal. They got through the hard parts of having a family together, while Burt's busy routine kept him away from home for long periods of time. But Lancaster was a tough husband because of the same things that made him a great actor: his intensity, independence, and never-ending drive for perfection. His long hours on set, frequent travel, and rumors of cheating on her made things worse between them. After being married for 23 years, Burt and Norma split up in 1969, a very important turning point in his life that also changed the way he thought about his job. In the 1970s, he started working on more complicated and socially aware films. After his second marriage ended, Lancaster didn't get married again for a long time. Instead, he spent a lot of time working, spending time with his kids, and helping people in need. It was known that he was in a few relationships during this time, but none of them ended in marriage. But as he got older, he seemed to soften emotionally, and he seemed to value love and friendship more as he got older. Burt Lancaster married Susan Martin for the 3rd and last time in 1990, when he was 77 years old. Their marriage showed that he was going through a calmer, more thoughtful time in his life. Lancaster had been sick for a while, so his work had slowed down. He wasn't the fiery young star he was in the 1950s and 1960s. He met Susan, who was much younger than him, and they became partners. She also took great care of him when his health got worse after a serious stroke in the early 1990s. Their friendship was based on love and respect for each other. It was a gentle bond that gave Lancaster comfort and company in his last years. His family expected to find the usual collection of mementos, film scripts, old love letters, awards, and faded photos from a life lived in front of the camera, when they went to his home in Beverly Hills after he died. No one was ready for the note, a single statement written by hand and sealed with the initials BL, that was hidden in the drawer of his writing desk. People say that a man's life can be judged by how much love he gives and how much love he hides. I've kept mine hidden for too long. The letter was long and had many pages. It was written in his usual bold style and told stories he had never been brave enough to share while he was living. The strong, athletic leading man who played both soldiers and loves with equal conviction Hollywood's golden idol told the truth about Cary Grant's real life. Cary was the first guy who showed me that charm could be a defense. We were both great at what we did. Him with his easy ease and me with my flaws. One night, after a party at the studio in 49, we sat on his Palm Springs home's porch. While I rolled cigarettes, he poured gin. We talked about how lonely it was to be loved by everyone, but no one really knew you. That night might have been the first time I knew love could be hidden by laughing. Lancaster said that Grant was a gentleman of masks, someone he admired and wanted but could never really have. Even though they denied it, their friendship was tense and full of desire. People will never believe this about J. Edgar Hoover, but Hoover was interested in me. The reason wasn't love, it was power. To own everyone he wasn't able to be, he'd call me to dinner, talk about being patriotic, and keep a close eye on everything I did. He looked at people with power and fear at the same time. He told me one night, "Burt, you could kill men with just a smile." He meant it, but I laughed. Hoover didn't love. He got things. The note said that Lancaster's interactions with Hoover were less emotional and more psychological. It described them as a tense dance in the shadows of Cold War Hollywood between interest, danger, and manipulation. On Rock Hudson, Rock was pure, quiet, and sweet, and he was always afraid of getting caught. He told me, "You don't think they'll ever let us just be, do you?" as I held him after a rap party. "No, Rock, they won't," I told him. "But we'll trick them into believing our lies so well that they'll think they're true." He smiled even though he was crying. That hurt me. From the tone, it was clear that Lancaster really cared about Hudson and understood how hard their job made them live two lives. When I watched Ricky Nelson, I saw too much of myself in the kid. They were hungry, lost, and looking for acceptance in all the wrong places. I thought I was too old to like him, but I did. I tried to keep him safe from the bad guys in the business. In the process, I might have become one myself. The note made a picture of a mentorship turning into a passion, of an older Hollywood veteran trying to stay away, but failing. When it came to Marlon Brando, he was chaos. Beautiful, dangerous chaos. He made me question everything I thought I knew about what it means to be a man. He made fun of my rules and thought I was too strict. We fought one night, kissed, and then fought again. "You're afraid to feel, Burt," he told me. He might have been right. Marlon was never afraid of feeling. It was his home. I only played it. Their meetings were called storms because they were short, electric, and memorable, close to Montgomery Cliff. I've never met a nicer person than Monty. He carried his pain around with him like a cloud, without saying anything. He didn't need me to be the hero, which is why I loved him the most. He could see right through it. We'd just sit there for hours and not say much. Two men acting like there was no one else in the world. The letter made me think about Cliff, how weak he was, how addicted he was, and the quiet tragedy that was always with him. Lancaster's words to Ava Gardner sound less like an admission of guilt and more like a letter of grief. You could never forget Ava, no matter how hard you tried. She was fire. You weren't burned. She ate you up. We slept together during the killer's years. I swear she taught me more than anyone else about lust and resistance. "You're too serious, Burt," she told me one time. "It's not a war." But it was always that way for me. He talked about Ava as a muse and a mirror, a woman who was just as intense as he was and wouldn't give in. When it came to Marilyn Monroe, she was a poem written out of pain. They thought she was weak because they never saw how badly she wanted to be understood. I'm not dumb, Bert, she told me. That's how I play it. We went to Palm Springs together one weekend. Two people who are alone and want to be seen. That night, she cried, and I didn't know how to make her feel better. But I still wish I had the Monroe Post. It made me want to say sorry, not just to her, but to everyone he couldn't save, including himself. When it came to Elizabeth Taylor, she was a queen. She lived like she knew people would remember her. She told me, "You still have that dangerous smile, Bert." We met late, long after I was no longer young. By that time, we were both still alive, two old stars acting like we didn't fear the dark. She gave me a kiss and told me, "You should have written your story." This note might be the answer. The last few lines of the note were scrawled quickly, like they were written quickly out of emotion. They'll remember the pictures, the weight, and the smile. Let them. But I hope someone reads this one day and gets it. I wasn't just a movie star. I was also a man of love, real, messy, and hidden. There was silence in the room when the chords stopped. The story of Burt Lancaster, the tough guy hero and explorer, gave way to something more human, more fragile, and much deeper. Finally, this statement, written not for the world but for the truth he could finally face, may have been his best work.